I should have known he was the head of that pyramid scheme. Here's your look at the McFarlane Toys Batman the Classic TV series, King Tut. Kapow! The debonair millionaire Bruce Wayne may seem like your average cool cat, but you'd be wrong. With the flip of a Shakespeare head bust into the Batcave, Gotham City is filled with a rogues gallery of criminals eager to unmask the Batman, but they are thwarted by the Cape Crusaders' own clever ways. While Tut's in a rut, I'd like to thank the folks over at McFarlane Toys that did, yes, come through and provide this sample of the Batman 66 King Tut that we could have a look at in this review. We're going to bring in a couple of Batman 66 figures for comparisons in a second. The first thing that I did want to do also, as well as thanking McFarlane Toys, is to measure off King Tut just to see how tall the figure stands. In this case, the Tut himself stands 5.5 inches in height, or the figure's about 14 centimeters tall. As for your figure comparisons, here's what King Tut looks like next to the Adam West Batman. In this case, Tut's only a tad bit taller than Batman, which I think he actually should be a lot taller than what he is. Speaking of figures that should also be a lot taller than what they are, here's what King Tut looks like, providing I move my arm out of the way. Here's what he looks like next to Egghead. Here's what he also looks like next to the Otto Preminger Mr. Freeze. And if there's enough space here on the other side, providing she can hopefully stand. Meow. Here's what King Tut also looks like next to the Julie Newmar Catwoman. Aside from a split personality, one thing that also makes Tut a little bit different than the other figures we've already gotten is that he doesn't come with any one of those action bubbles, those onomatopoeia effects that clip onto the figure's wrist. Rather, instead, the figure comes with something you'd expect to see from a pharaoh. The figure comes included with both a crook and a flail. The crook, I think, was something that represented kingship, while the flail represented the fertility of the land. In either case, this is actually molded here in red for the flail. Hook is actually covered here or molded here in white plastic. He does also have the available means to hold both the crook and the flail at the exact same time, as the figure comes included, luckily, with gripping hands. Just to move his cape out of the way, mind you, we're just going to bring his arms up just a little bit here. Not that it has to have a designated section. In fact, if you wanted to, you could put the crook over here. You could put the flail on the other side. I'm just going to do this for right now, just to show you guys what it looks like. You know, it's funny, again, like of all the characters that we've gotten from the 66 series, King Tut is one of the few that in fact came included with accessories. All the other ones up to this point, other than technically Two-Face, even though he really wasn't part of the 66 series, have all included instead the word action bubbles instead of actually accessories. King Tut comes with not really necessarily weapons, but I guess something you could swing at the Cape Crusader and his sidekick if Batman came a little too close. Anyways, let's take the weapons out of his hand. Just put those to the side. Getting, though, a closer look now at King Tut. King Tut, sadly, was one of those characters that just didn't appear long enough in the series. I think there's only just a small handful of episodes that he actually did appear in. Portrayed hamming up the role, I feel, in fact, was Victor Buono, I think it was the one that played King Tut in the 66 series. But again, he didn't play much of it in the series. I think there's only like 2-3 episodes that King Tut actually was appearing in. Head sculpt-wise, I think it's pretty good. The only thing I would have maybe given him is a little curl of that smile that King Tut was always known to have. Again, he hammed the role up as equally high as Eartha Kitt did when she played Catwoman. I love the look of King Tut here. He does, of course, have his typical pharaoh outfit, of course, when he does get banged on the head. I think one of the notable episodes that had featured King Tut was he almost revealed the entranceway to the Batcave. And that was something, again, he knew exactly who Batman was until a rock had fallen on his head. And all of a sudden, he forgot who he was again. King Tut was a rather interesting character in the 66 series. I gotta say, like, the figure itself looks quite good. He's a portlier gentleman, as you can see, represented here. There's a lot more plastic that's being used for King Tut's body than maybe some of the other figures we've already had a look at. I like the way it naturally does have a wrinkling here. The cape, which does get in the way of things, is made of a nice material, red, very soft red material. But again, like, the head sculpt is really good on this guy. The thing you will want to be careful of, though, is the tiny little scarab, I guess that's a scarab, little pendant that he has that comes down actually from his collar piece. This is a soft enough plastic that when you are rotating the head, you just want to make sure that you don't clip against this, because the tiny little chains are molded of that same gold plastic. You wouldn't want that to break. Other than that, though, I really do like the look of the figure. He does have the little cloth here on the front, which is actually made of a softer plastic still. Some nice decorative work that they put in there as well. With a figure like this, it does really give you the chance to be able to see some of the features you wouldn't be able to see in the episodes themselves. I have to wonder if maybe McFarlane's team did reach out, obviously, to the 66 series group, the people that were responsible for making the show, and maybe asked if they could have behind-the-scenes look at what the costumes look like in order to replicate the things that we get like here with King Tut. The figure also has some sandals. It looks like he doesn't have necessarily ankles as much as he has cankles. Cankles is just basically a continuation of the calf all the way down to the feet. It seems like he may be sporting a pair of cankles as well as, again, sandals. The sandals also do sport pegals in the undersides of his feet. It's one of the few Batman characters that we've gotten from this series, in fact, that does have pegals on the undersides. The actual outfit, I mean, the whole bottom section of him is just a solid plastic piece. There's no articulation really other than just the feet themselves. Not that necessarily I wanted this to be soft goods anyways, just because, again, like for a thing like King Tut, why would he necessarily need to have softer plastic if you really can't move his legs anyways? Speaking of moving his legs, though, let's have a look at the articulation here on the figure. Head is on a ball joint, so yeah, it does rotate back and forth. The sides of his headpiece here is a softer plastic. Kind of gives you a chance to kind of get in there and see all the detail work that they did put into this. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with the look of King Tut quite a lot. Head does look down only just by a little bit. It does look up, though, a lot more, and you can also hinge the head slightly back and forth. The arms do involve you having to move the cape out of the way. They are on, once again, hinges, so you can bring those arms outward, and you can also bring the arms forward and back as well. The figure has only just possessing a single hinge in his elbow, but at least that allows the forearm to rotate back and forth. And King Tut's hands, that also are there to hold the weapons, do rotate also all the way around. Waist is on a slight swivel, and it isn't so much really the waist in this part. I mean, you think that this is the part that's going to swivel, but in fact, this part of his tummy is molded to the lower half of his kind of Egyptian loincloth here. But what's actually rotating is the part that's below it, the actual skirt section. And then again, the figure does have foot articulation as well. King Tut is not more the obscure character, but one of those that you don't think of right away when you think of the 66 series Rogues Gallery. Kind of right up there with Bookworm. Oh, I'd love to get a Bookworm or Louis the Lilac. Again, just to bring back in Batman so you guys can see what he looks like next to Batman. Yeah, I like the look of King Tut. And what's, again, so strange about this figure is he's the only one I can really think of that has not come included with action bubbles, those ones that all come included up to this point with almost every single figure, I think. I wonder if Two-Face, I'm trying to remember if Two-Face had one of those, or if he just swapped those out instead with the big giant coin. Either way, though, this is one of the very few figures that actually still come included with accessories. I'm glad that he does. Not that he necessarily needed or not needed accessories. Like, if he didn't come included with either Crook or the Flail, I don't think I would have said, oh, geez, I really wish that the figure could have come included with any of those. But it's nice to see that they did actually, in fact, throw in a little bit of extra plastic, giving King Tut a couple of things that he can hold on to. You could really tell the actors and actresses that came on and guest starred as villains for the week absolutely loved the roles that they were playing. I mean, the ones that ate up the roles the most, like Frank Gorshin, for example, he'd probably sit the highest on my list of characters that really bought into the characters of the Riddler. But then you had characters that didn't appear as much on this series, like King Tut, for example, or even Eartha Kitt's Catwoman. I know everybody loves Julie Newmar's Catwoman. I'm still on that same idea as well. But Eartha Kitt just loved hamming up the role of Catwoman, as well as Victor Bono here, that actually played King Tut. It's again a sad thing that King Tut didn't appear more times on the episodes. In fact, there was an episode, where King Tut came on as one of many rogues, but he sort of just kind of blended in with the rest of the characters. He only had the chance to really ham up the role in about 2-3 episodes. The one that really does stand out to me is the one where he drills the back wall of the Batcave and discovering that Bruce Wayne, in fact, was Batman, just short of actually having a rock hit his head before he's about to tell the Gotham City Police. But what do you guys think, though, of Victor Bono? Do you think he was one of the better characters that played and loved playing the roles of the villains in the 66 series? Who do you think of the actors and actresses that came on as regular starring villains? Who do you think loved playing the role the most? Let me know down below in the comment section. I'm sure many people will say Frank Gorshin. As well, I'd like to thank the folks over at McFarlane Toys that did provide the sample of the Batman 1966 King Tut. Tut, tut, tut. If you certainly enjoyed this video, I hit it with a like. If you're loving the content you guys are seeing and do certainly want to stick around for more, then make sure you're hitting the subscribe button down below and you're turning on the bell notification. Of course, we will be coming back same spot time, same spot channel, as we have a look at some more 66 Batman series figures, courtesy of the folks over at McFarlane Toys. As always, guys, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.